Good. Oh no. I don't know whether it's morning or afternoon.
Ace.
That would have just gone completely wrong.
I might just
Good
leave all this
morning
in.
or afternoon. Welcome to episode 9 of Two Fat Gingers Have a Conversation. We're now at the point where we're almost professional at doing this and make very few mistakes.
And if you believe that, you believe anything.
Absolutely. So we do have a guest joining us today, but first, let's speak to Mr. Christopher, who had a jaunty day out to the cinema.
He did. He had a jaunty day out to the cinema yesterday to see Dunkirk, which is an awesome movie.
I have heard very good things. It has been reviewed very, very positively.
Yeah.
And the trailers make it look very exciting.
I had not seen any of the trailers. I think I may have caught one when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but was completely not engaged by it at all. I had no particular interest in seeing the film. It looked like a war film, and I'm not particularly big in war films. And I don't think I realised, or I don't think I picked up at that stage that it was Christopher Nolan, who literally has not made a bad movie.
Have you checked his IMDb history?
The only one of his released feature-length movies that I haven't seen is Following, which was done on a budget of something like $6,000, but it's now on my list to watch because nothing else that he's done has been bad.
Nothing else. Okay.
He's done 2 shorts that I've seen, but there's nothing else in his Wikipedia list, at least, that is a feature-length movie that I have not seen and not enjoyed.
Okay.
There you go. Yes, so Dunkirk. As I say, an excellent movie about the events of the Dunkirk evacuation in World War II, as you might expect by the title. The film is quite unusual in that it focuses on 3 different time streams of things that happen, but in this wonderful Christopher Nolan Memento type way. He manages to interweave them. It's masterful editing on their part to make it work so well, because you've got the guy on the beach, the soldier on the beach, who you see essentially. They say it's a week of his time that you get to see. You get to see a day in a day of the time from the guy taking a small boat across. It was one of the small ships of Dunkirk coming across to rescue people, and you get to see an hour in the time of what's his name, the pilot,
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, that's the one. So you get to see an hour of him. Yet the 3 stories are spread across the same amount of screen time. It's very cleverly done. And they don't all start at the same point or finish at the same point either, which I guess would have made the editing somewhat easier. They overlap in various different ways and various different times. I think the last person you see on screen is Tom Hardy. You might not actually see him last on Tom Hardy, but by the time you see him, your guy on the beach is considerably far away from where their stories intertwine and stuff. So it's very good. So I'm trying very hard not to give spoilers away here.
Yes, good, because I will be seeing it this week at some point. So I would appreciate no spoilers, although I did completely spoil Transformers for you. So there's an element of revenge in your mind.
Not even nearly. No, you spoiled what Empire gave 1 star to me. I haven't seen the Empire star rating for Dunkirk, but I would suspect 4.
5.
No, did it give it a full 5? Wow.
I gave it a full 5. Sorry, I've just given you a spoiler on the Empire rating. I am just spoiling your life.
You've just ruined my life for me.
I have indeed. Thankfully, you saw the film before that. Otherwise, your expectations might have been much higher.
Absolutely. The film is exhausting to watch. I'm glad it's not long.
Exhausting in what way? Because I found Saving Private Ryan. I really enjoy war films because I'm morbid that way. Yeah. I really enjoy Saving Private Ryan, but that's exhausting to watch as well.
Yeah,
because it's hard. It's difficult to watch in places. Is it same sort of thing with Dunkirk? Or
well, you see the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, which I think is the most impactful. or any of the set pieces. I mean, I'm kind of stealing this from what I've read about the movie elsewhere now, from other people's comments on it. But I know what they mean, having seen it, and I understand it, and I agree with it. The whole film feels like one set piece, so it feels like the third act of a movie. So the kind of all the character development, all the build up is gone. You are there at the action from start to finish, and it is just exhausting to watch that. And one of the few criticisms I've seen of the film is there is no character development at all. You simply don't see it. You arrive with fully formed characters that you don't get to see enough of. So I guess some people will find it difficult to empathize with the characters' plights and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan in reverse, obviously, but for 107 minutes.
Okay.
So imagine how exhausting that would be. But a lot less gory. There's almost no blood. The film is almost entirely bloodless, which is quite strange.
Does it help or hinder?
I don't think it makes the slightest bit of difference. I didn't miss it at all. There's a point where I kind of thought this could have been bloodier. There could have been limbs and stuff flying everywhere and blood in the sand and everything like that. And there was a point at which I thought, he's obviously made a choice not to do this, but I didn't feel that. Other than that kind of one stray thought, I didn't miss it at all.
I guess you won't say the same when we go and see the new Saw film.
No, I would imagine not. To be honest, I expect that to just be filmed on red screen.
Yes. Where's all the blood? I've just seen somebody decapitated and there's no blood. This new Saw film is rubbish.
Yes, indeed. How on earth does that man's chin get ripped off his face and it not bleed and stuff, I guess.
Indeed.
But no, it's massively done. The acting is good, but it's hard to imagine. Again, I read this somewhere else, and I kind of agree with it. It's hard to imagine that it will get many acting accolades simply because of the fact that it's an ensemble piece. Other than maybe the private on the beach that you see first, nobody else seems to get the amount of screen time to stand out as a leading actor.
Okay.
But the performances are still fantastic. I mean, given that for most of the movie, all you see of Tom Hardy are his eyes. You do see him very briefly outside his plane. You do see him. He takes off his mask a couple of times, but for the most part, he's in a plane, close up on his face with a mask on. You're just seeing his eyes, and yet there's a performance there.
Well, I've noticed this, and I noticed this during Mad Max and Taboo. I don't know if you watched Taboo when it was on British Broadcasting Corporation Channel 1.
Yes, I did.
He acts a lot with his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his reaction to the situation around him is the way he kind of looks around and looks at people. He is, if he hadn't made it as a fairly big star, which he is now, he could have got a job as an eye actor. You know how they have hand actors? I wonder if they get eye actors for Specsavers and things like that.
I would have said before seeing Dunkirk, I would have said that his performance was very physical. I mean, yeah, his facial expression and his eyes are very, very involved in it, but his physical presence is there. He doesn't need to talk to act. That much certainly would have been clear. But I don't think I would have gone as far as to say he could have done it just with his eyes. But he certainly did yesterday. And you've got Kenneth Branagh, his acting pedigree is clearly well known. But there's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, unexpectedly emotional. In fact, you just see him slowly looking from one thing to another, and the expression in his face says more than words almost could. It really is a beautifully put together movie. Some people are saying it's Nolan's finest work. It's hard to say just now because I'm still somewhat euphoric about seeing it. So I'm maybe inclined to agree with him, but at the same time, it's very hard to put it up against Inception, which is still fantastic several years later. So time will tell, I guess.
Very interesting. Doesn't make me want to see it less, which is good.
I'm glad to hear that.
Sometimes when people are very vocally supportive of a film, it can make you feel a bit like, if I go and see this and it doesn't live up to this, how do I say to that person, by the way, you've got, crap taste in movies. I've heard it many times said to me. But no, I mean, I enjoy the trailers. I enjoy that they don't get about what the film's going to be. But again, through the marketing, I think they're putting to you that you have to put trust that this is a Christopher Nolan. They could show you a loaf of bread and say a film by Christopher Nolan. There is going to be a certain audience that's still going to turn up. So the trailer's not really going to have a hard sell on it. And yeah, the trailer's not particularly memorable. I just watched the new Justice League trailer, which I also posted online via our Two Fat Gingers webpage, Facebook page. You can find it there. And they cram so much in that I'm wondering what's left in the movie. You know, especially the comedy scenes. They're obviously trying to lighten it up after Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot more comedy and one-liners and things in it. And they give away so many in the trailer. What's going to be left in the film? And I kind of like that Dunkirk didn't give you much other than it's about Dunkirk, which if you're British, you know of, even if you don't know all the details. And for the rest of the world, it's by Christopher Nolan. Well,
also, you know, it was a fairly significant part of the Second World War. And because it's a thing that happened in history, it's not exactly difficult to find out about.
It's not, but when I went to see the film, which we're not allowed to talk about anymore, there was 3 or 4 very mini trailers for Dunkirk splattered amongst the other trailers. I mean, I'm talking about 30 seconds each type length here. Well, by the end of it, the kid next to me was kind of like, wants to watch that, you know? So they did take a slight risk with the, you know, Dunkirk isn't, I'm guessing it's well-known British history. If you're into history around the, yes, you probably know about it. But I'm guessing if you're anything other than European, that
undoubtedly
Dunkirk meant not register.
Yeah, undoubtedly it will be of far less interest to an American film-going audience. Undoubtedly so. But I'm quite interested in this, that you're saying there were multiple trailers for it. And I'm wondering if there were 3, and if each trailer was from one of the different stories.
Yes, I think it actually was.
There was
the On the Beach,
quite
there was the fighter pilot, and there was Mark Rylance in his boat.
Yeah. It was very interesting. I spent a fair amount of time yesterday after the movie reading up on Dunkirk, just so that I could be one of these snarky people that, you know, comments on the fact that, it's historically inaccurate. There are a couple of things there, but they don't seem
of course it is.
Like major points.
Because, you know, we've seen Tom Hardy on the red carpet. There's no way that he flew a plane in World War.
But maybe someone who looked exactly like him did.
Oh, one of those whole doppelganger things. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about the doppelganger thing in...
You went blank.
Did you hear about the doppelganger thing in the US with Scarlett Johansson?
I did not.
So somebody tweeted, I think it was Twitter, tweeted Scarlett Johansson a picture of his grandma like 60 years ago, and she was Scarlett Johansson's absolute double.
Wow.
So Scarlett Johansson invited this grandmother to the premiere of her latest film and walked down the red carpet with her. But I was like, yeah, how like can this be? And I looked at the picture and was like, holy fuck.
So basically,
this is one of those...
His grandmother was hot.
His grandmother was a very attractive young lady in her day. I didn't look at it in the now picture because that might just spoil it, you know? But yeah, she looked the doppelganger of Scarlett Johansson.
Wow.
It's freaky. It's really freaky.
There you go.
Everybody has a facial doppelganger in the world.
I find it hard to believe that I do.
There was a whole TV show about it, and they went and found the facial doppelgangers.
I think the reason I would find it hard to believe that I do is that, you know, I was nearly put to death myself for how I looked. So to imagine that 2 people exist with this face and weren't, you know, almost immediately killed at birth is a big surprise.
Okay. Excellent. So we have our first guest with us today, and guest is David Keith, famous globally for his directing skills, starting with... don't laugh. You're in Redbox again.
Yeah, back in Redbox. Thank God.
Back in Redbox, yeah. So welcome along, David Keith, director of Attack of the Herbals, Redwood Massacre, The Evil Within, and Ghosts of Darkness, which is the one that just hit Redbox. First of all, we'd like to ask you a question. Have you seen Dunkirk? Because we've just discussed it, and Mr. Chris, who's the other ginger on this, is very excited about it. Because he's just seen it.
I haven't seen it. We're going on Wednesday.
Ah, nice, okay.
So,
well, I'll not spoil it, but it was fantastic.
Oh, it is good.
Yeah.
It's good as Transformers.
I would say it was a little better than Transformers, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll wait till Wednesday to decide that one.
Have you seen Transformers?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. I'm not allowed to discuss it anymore. It's a non-topic for me.
It is.
I've been banned.
Was it that bad, or
he's ranted for about an hour and a half in total?
I didn't mind the other ones. I mean, you know, they are just what they are. But I heard the new ones hit a new low.
In terms of cinematic history, or just
Well, I don't know. What was it? Anthony Hopkins called Michael Bay a genius in the interviews. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Up there with Steven Spielberg and the rest of them. So
Anthony Hopkins has gone senile.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was just in character.
Okay, right. No, we'll avoid this madness. There's something. The more we do this, the more it gives Chris to edit out.
I'm gonna leave all this in, word for word. This is getting left in.
Word for word, excellent. Indeed. Well, that's true. That's true. It would seem unfair. So, welcome, Dave. The reason we've got you on is you've just finished filming your, which is another step up in terms of budget, in terms of I guess ambition as well. So we'll give you a chance to tell us a little bit about what that experience was, because I think you had producers on set this time and things like that. So
yeah,
that must have been a different experience for you.
Well, yeah. To put it mildly, I mean, it's the first time we had about 6 producers over, and I mean, it was only, it's still a small film compared to what they're making, like in the States. When they say indie movie nowadays, that can be up to like $10 million. So this was like $100,000 movie. And that came attached with like 6 people flying over, while we were filming. So yeah, it was an interesting experience.
So I mean, I'm absolutely amazed by this. For $100K that you'd get 6 producers.
Well, to be fair, two of them were the investors. So it was the main investor was one of the original Chippendales, which I'm sure you'll probably remember. Yeah,
absolutely. I remember the day one Chippendales, them dancing.
Yeah,
I was just a boy.
It's funny because I spoke to him quite a lot about it, and some of the stories behind it were quite dark. So he was going on about trying to get a movie made about that. But lo and behold, a couple of days ago, Ben Stiller is away to make the Chippendales movie. So you missed the boat.
Yeah, hard to imagine that's going to be something that deals with serious issues.
I don't know. I think it is meant to be a serious movie. It involves people getting killed, and there was a lot of shit that went on when they were doing that. I mean, some of the stuff he was telling me, I was just like, Jesus, I thought you guys were just like dancing.
Yeah.
But no, there was like hits taken out on people. They're all like on steroids and drugs. And
I wonder if this movie is going to be called the Baby Oil Wars.
Well, yeah, maybe I've got his email. I could pitch it.
The baby oil, yeah. I can't imagine with the Baby Boss coming out more recently. I don't think anybody's going to try and make a serious dark movie called the Baby Oil Wars. But
you never know.
Hey, who knows? Who knows? The worst ideas have hit the screen. Thank you, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
So what do they do when they're on set? What does a producer do?
Oh, well.
What are they supposed to do, should I ask?
This film was hard for a number of reasons. Number one, the script kept changing. I mean, the script was changing 3 days before we were filming the movie. So I initially wrote a script with a guy that was in my last film called Paul Flannery, that was in Ghosts of Darkness. And what happened was we were kind of pitching it about some of the distributors in the US. We filmed an intro, like as a package to be like, here's the start, here's the script. And while we were waiting for those guys to get back, we've been talking to this other production company in LA for a while. They've been making a lot of movies, and they picked up in the script and they says, look, we think we can find funding. So they sent it away to some money guys, and then they got back and they were like, look, we're going to make the movie. And I was like, oh, brilliant, but we'll polish up the script. And then really this is where it kind of all went a bit. And I mean, even one of the main guys said there was too many people trying to change the script. You know, I mean, there was 3 in LA and 2 here. So the script was just going round in circles for months, up until 3 days before we actually started shooting. So you can imagine, logistically, for my wife, who was the producer, was organizing the whole film, she was having like a heart attack every day because it's so low. I know it sounds like a lot of money for a like low budget movie, but when you've got such limited time to do it, each scene has to be, you know, you have to know exactly what you're filming every day. You know, like you are moving so quick, so you don't really have time to discuss it. It's just like bang, 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 bang. So things are changing. You know, like I'm even reading the script sometimes, going, "What? I can't even remember that. That's different. That's new. That's in." You know, so that was really the main problem on this film. But luckily, I mean, it all came together. It was an interesting first couple of days. Let's put it that way. There's lots of arguments and. Ugh.
So is that the sort of thing that going forward, if you want to do higher budget, is that normal?
No,
or is this one just a case of too many people? I mean, you read about different people involved in the production wanting to, you know, they had aspirations of being directors or script writers or actors or, you know, things like that. You know, and this seems to give them the chance to do that by proxy.
No, you know what? One of the producers is a film director in his own right. The second the other writer works for Disney, and then the other person's been involved with the other, you know, films have been producing out there. But I think the problem was it just got rushed. Once we knew we were getting the money, the film just kind of got rushed through, and we didn't get the money until 3 weeks before the start shoot date. So we had a whole movie to organize with sets and cast and all that kind of stuff, while the script was still getting changed. So it was just like, you know, like for 2 months, no, I think a month lead up before the film actually started, I was already burnt out, you know, like from trying to get everything organized and problem after problem. And then when we started shooting, then the other actors came, another actor from LA, London, 2 from London. And then obviously Paul, who was the main star and who had originally worked on the script with me, he's starting to freak out now, you know, like, what the hell, this is not the, you know, what's going on, the script's changing. And then the woman from LA starting to freak out because the script's changed. So it was, stressful. So oh my God, there was not one day that went by there was not some kind of battle or incident. But I mean, for like all of the producers were really nice people. And I think by the end of it, Stephen, who was the lead producer, he was like, no, this isn't normal. This isn't the way movies get made. So it's just one of those kind of things. We got ourselves stuck in that hole, and that was it.
Everybody with the best intention.
It was all done with the best intentions. It was just communication issues, you know, them being in LA, trying to change the script to a film they thought I was doing, but really we were so far apart on this, you know. I was trying to do like a serious psychological horror, and they were doing like a really commercial monster horror. You know, it's about psychics, and they had stuff for the psychic, you know, like opening doors with his powers, and I was just like, what? So it was that's, you know, I mean, we were just so far apart, and it wasn't until we got together, and then they were like, oh, right, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, they wanted psychic Jedis.
Yeah, they were just going for big time commercial, you know, like doors opening and screaming, a bit like X-Men. And I'm going for like, you know, I was trying to get into like make my first serious movie. So it's a mixture of both now.
So it's the second time you've worked with Paul, who was in Ghost of Darkness, and who was by far one of the best things in Ghost of Darkness. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. The film was actually good, but he was quite brilliant, actually. He was like, I think so, I read somebody describing him as a British Johnny Depp, which I think does him a disservice. I think he has similar clicks as Johnny Depp, if that makes sense. His mannerisms, but he's definitely not a Johnny Depp type buffoon, which caricature of himself as Sir Johnny is now. So you must have enjoyed working with him on.
Yeah, you know what? Ghost of Darkness felt like a holiday compared to this movie. I mean, you guys still there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, my things just went all dead. Yeah.
No, we're listening attentively. Fuck, easy for me to say.
Yeah, that was such an easy shoot. We were like filming about 8 hours a day. We're all in one house. We had time to change the script. Like Paul and Michael like adapted a lot of the screenplay and a lot of like the funny stuff that Paul comes out with. That's him and Michael changing the script. And then with this one, Paul is the lead, but for 90 or 80, maybe 80% of the film, it's just him alone in this cabin set. And we're filming up to 250 shots a day. So we just didn't have time to really look at what we're filming, like what we did in the Ghost of Darkness. So I'm cutting the film now, and it's like I'm watching it for the first time as well, because I can't remember shooting any of it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we shot that. I hope that works. You know what I mean? So it's like, but yeah, I think by the end of it, he was a broken man. Let's put it that way.
So I suppose the one thing we haven't done is given you a chance to tell us what it's about.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know what it's about anymore. I mean, they've got like a really cool log line. I mean, to be fair, they've got like the promotional stuff sorted out for when the film comes out. But in a nutshell, it's about this guy who has, when he was a kid, thinks he was involved in some kind of really crazy experiment in like it's set in underground bunkers and all that kind of stuff, where they were like putting weird serum into psychics to try and enhance their ability, and as a consequence, it's opened up some kind of weird door to these demons. So the story kind of picks up like when he's like 36, and his shrink, it's a bit like Evil Dead in a weird way, suggests he goes back to his parents' cabin, spend a couple of nights there, try and get over all this nightmares he's having, because she obviously thinks like all these dreams you're having are just ridiculous. You weren't involved in these experiments. Your parents, they might be dead, but I'm sure they just, there's another explanation. And then madness ensues. So, yeah, it's a little bit like Evil Dead 2 in a weird way, because he really is stuck there by himself. And everyone who comes and interacts with him, you don't know if it's real or if it's, not real. It's that kind of weird time jump kind of weird thing. So hopefully the audience is guessing all the way to the end. It is really ambitious for $100,000. We definitely needed more money.
Well, some of the best films were made on really low budgets. Attack of the Herbals, perfect example of that.
I know.
Yep.
Attack of the Herbals, £1,000 for the whole shoot.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it shows.
It only shows in some areas.
Yeah.
That Roadrunner was awful. You just kill that guy. Should have killed him.
Yeah. The Roadrunner's actually back over here. That's why I slept in, because I had to go out with him on Friday night. So, but I'll tell you a funny story. He even got recognised in Cambodia as the Roadrunner. Yeah. Some guy actually came up to him. He said he was sitting in a restaurant, and this guy kept on staring at him. And eventually the guy came over and was like, "Are you the Roadrunner?" I was just like, Jesus.
Cambodia.
In Cambodia.
That's shocking. I am
the power of pirate films.
Oh no, I'm sure that guy saw it legitimately.
Well, it's on YouTube. So.
It is now. Yeah.
Yeah. I put it on YouTube because I was getting screwed by all the distributors.
Oh dear.
So I was like, "Take that, distributors."
Yeah, it's got quite a lot of views on YouTube as well, I think.
Yeah, surprisingly, it did well. Because I had like 6-7 years of people just giving me abuse for that film, and then I put it on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. When it came out.
That seems so unfair.
Yeah.
I think I can understand if you pay for a movie and then you put it in and it's that low budget, your first instinct is to be like, I must kill the director.
Yeah, I'm guessing there was more spent on marketing it than there was on the actual movie itself.
Oh, we got totally screwed over on that. It was so bad.
But it was in it.
What's that?
No, on you go. On you go.
Oh, well, what happened? It was a long story short. So we made the film for 1,000, and then by the time you do the post-production and that, the music and that, it was about £12,000. And it was at a time where I had no money. But there was a company in Los Angeles called Camelot Films that said they would take it on. They wouldn't pay any money for it. You know what I mean? We're not going to pay any money, but this is a big opportunity for you. And they started selling the film to all the territories. Big, like there was a lot of money involved. It was like 30,000 to the UK. You know what I mean? Germany, the US was big deals. And then we looked at our contract, and they'd done it in a certain way that we would never get paid. And then they went bust, and then they kept the film as an asset. So literally, the film just disappeared with them. So we could never really sell it again. So we got zero. We made zero back. 15,000 or something in, zero back.
Oh, no.
So that was my first introduction to LA sales agents.
Yeah. But I mean, it works as a show reel. You went on to Redwood Massacre. I'm just looking at it now. 265,000 YouTube, which is not bad for Attack of the Herbals at all.
Yeah.
You went on to the Redwood Massacre, and before we speak a little bit about that, you know, Attack of the Herbals was, you talk about ambitious for 100K. Attack of the Herbals was hell of ambitious for 1K.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, looking back, it was a bit of a stupid thing to do. I just lost my job with a film company, and I was like, right, I'm going to make a feature film. And maybe doing a slapstick film about tea probably wasn't the smartest move, to be honest, looking back. But yeah, we got it done.
It'll be your Piranha 2. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, it's always going to be there. I mean, I still get messages from time to time from people watching it, especially now it's on YouTube. But I mean, it did nothing for us in terms of trying to get a next movie made. Let's put it that way. It would have killed me completely if we hadn't funded the Redwood Massacre ourselves.
Yeah, so Redwood Massacre, you moved on to that. Before we talk about the plot and the story and that too much, I gotta ask, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I couldn't find it. The eyebrows. What happened?
Right.
What happened? Because I'm guessing that was not meant.
The Rebecca Wilkie is one of the nicest people you'll ever met, and that her eyebrows, I don't know if that's something they did say, I can't remember now, but far from me to tell someone, you know, like, oh, do you want to change them? I'm sure there was some kind of reason. I'm sure she said she waxed them too much when she was a kid or something, and they didn't grow back. So I think it was that reason. But yeah, the amount of messages I get about that are, I mean, if it was on YouTube, I remember the movie, and there was like 1,000 comments, and must have been 80% was about that. So I was like, oh dear, that's what the movie will be remembered for.
And that's, so when I was reading the reviews, so I saw an early cut of it, and then I bought it. You'll be happy to know I paid money for it off of Amazon.
You're the one. We found you.
I'm the one. Yes, indeed. But yeah, every review I read, or most of the reviews, started with that, which was a shame, because it was actually, you know, again, it's low budget, but you know, it's pretty good. And the farmer, or whatever you call the guy with the sack on his head, you know, he's actually quite a good horror character. You know, just a staple good horror character. You know, you think about you know, the Jasons and the Mike Myers, and that he fits with that.
Yeah,
you know,
he's got a very distinctive look about him.
Yeah,
you say that, but
always creep me out.
Yeah, somebody was upset about the sack thing.
Oh my god! Before I go into that, I'll tell you about the costume. We hired a costume company to make a proper costume, and we picked it up the day before filming, and it was atrocious. It was so bad that I had to run into a hardware store and just buy that dungarees and the jumper he wears in the movie, literally the day before filming. So luckily that worked out. But yeah, the bag, oh god, what was that all about? Some people, well, you must have read it all, did you? Some guy.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah,
Psycho Holocaust or whatever the movie was. They've stolen our idea, and I was gutted because I forgot. Before I made Redwood Massacre, I made the short film Evil in the Hills, which had the same guy with a bag on his head that was made in 2006. So I should have just sent him that and says, oh, you've copied me. Oh, you know what I mean? That was ridiculous. There's still a comment on IMDb about that.
Yeah,
Now
because
and then,
essentially
yeah.
their issue seemed to be that there was a killer killing teens in a forest with a bag on his head, and I'm like, if you're claiming that as your
It's ridiculous.
invention, I think the first Jason movie, the first Friday the 13th film might have an issue with you, and the second one where he didn't have. I don't think he got his mask for the third.
I mean, how many
hockey mask.
How many movies now is there with? Like, I remember I wrote like a funny reply in IMDb. I was like, oh, I would have copied bigger movies, and that kind of backfired on me. I must have had all their fans. It's just like, yeah, that went on for a long time.
Yeah,
actually over Facebook, and they were threatening to get lawyers on me and everything, which is just bullshit. I was just like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe all the Japanese samurai movies are for stealing their idea.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Redwood Massacre is one of the most unoriginal films in the world. There's a lot more people should be lining up to sue me.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're in the position now where there's many original ideas in the world.
No,
there's very few that I've. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't think of a recent one where I don't sit and go, or afterwards when I'm thinking about it, that it's derivative of something.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard now, especially for where we're at. Where you don't have a lot of money. That's what the Redwood Massacre was all about. I knew people of horror movies with people with bags on their head. So I was like, someone's going to buy that.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason we made it.
But that did fairly well as well, because when that came out, I was out in the US, and that was in Redbox. And for those of you listening who don't know what Redbox is, it's a DVD rental box that sits outside supermarkets in the US, and it's outside thousands and thousands of supermarkets in the US. So to get into Redbox, it's a fairly good achievement. So the fact that Redwood got in there.
I'm glad you said that, Alistair, because as one of the people actually not listening but speaking on this, I didn't know what it was, so that's helpful.
Yeah, Redbox for indie movies, that's like up to $80,000 for that one Redbox deal. Mm-hmm. That can pay back your whole movie if you've got like a sales agent or distributor. So it's like the number one thing indie people at my level aspire to get. Must get Redbox. But the story behind Redwood Massacre, I'll do it quickly, but because we made no money in Attack the Herbals, I was like, there has to be a way of making money doing this, hence why we chose to do the slasher film. I was like, there's already an audience for this. It's not like I'm going out to try and find people that like watching movies about tea, like Attack the Herbal. I was like, the horror people are pretty loyal, and I knew if we put like a cool killer on the front of the cover, the chances are they'll maybe pick it up once and watch it. So when we found like a really nice distributor, one of the honest ones, and he was basically like, and by this time we'd fired our sales agent, so we were representing the film ourselves. So we paid for the movie ourselves. So it was like £40,000. It was a huge risk because again, I'm not exactly, the richest person in the world. And he basically said, slasher films don't sell, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh my God. But I knew that we put the money into getting like a cover made with the guy in the front cover. Mm-hmm. So he eventually bought it. And then lo and behold, slasher films do still sell because it did really well. It went on Redbox, Hulu, all of the major VOD streaming sites in the US, and got like US, Germany deals. It's in Japan now. And it's not so much about the film. It is just because it's a slasher movie and it's got a guy with an axe on front of the cover, really. Yeah. So, I proved them wrong, finally. But
Indeed. And the next one, so you went from that, you went then to go, which I guess, I don't know if it was you, and you can tell us here, whether that was own interest in that, or again, whether you took some inspiration for the fact that these psychological horror movies are big business at the moment. You've got your Annabelles, you've got your Conjuring and all that kind of stuff. They're really, really popular.
Yeah, well, what happened is the US distributor who bought the Redwood Massacre came to us and says, look, I'll pay for your next movie. And he's all about the trends in the markets. In fact, the guy Keith, who runs Uncorked Entertainment, is called the Red Box Whisperer. That's his nickname in the industry. So he basically came to us and he's like, I'll give you the money. The film has to be paranormal. I don't care what it's about, but it has to be paranormal because that's where all the sales are at the moment. So I was like, okay. Knocked up the script for Ghosts of Darkness. And then we had like a 15-minute Skype call with him. He's like, okay, the money's in your account tomorrow. Let me know when the film... Oh, you guys still hear me?
Yeah, still here.
Yeah, so you might have to edit that out. He's like, just let me know when the film's finished. So my first experience of working with someone giving me money was, I'll talk to you in 6 months when the film is finished.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, yeah, like you said, Paul and Michael Coltes, once we got to the film, it was another short turnaround. It was only 4 weeks from him saying, the money's here, and this is when you start. But they took the script away while we were filming and really adapted a lot of the dialogue, to try and put some more, because I'm the first to say I'm not a scriptwriter. I just can't find anyone really that could do that. I'm good at pacing out movies, the scenes, but I'm terrible at dialogue. So I'm lucky those guys. Yeah, dialogue, as one of my friends calls it.
Oh, that's harsh.
Dialogue's hard to do because when you try and write it how you think it would be said, and then you read it back and you go, nobody says this.
No,
nobody would say it this way. It is a skill to be able to write dialogue without sounding like a total jackass.
I think, God, I don't know even how people. Yeah, like on Ghost of Darkness, Michael Coltes, the other guy, he'd constantly be reading the script, but he would constantly this is in the first couple of days when everyone was polite, he would just kind of look at me as to say, is this really what you want me to say? And then I was like, yes, change it, guys, change whatever you want. And bang, we went away for like 2 days, changed like the whole script. So I was like, that's what I'll try and do every film, try and let the actors have a kind of input into the dialogue, which can work. Worked for that one, but we didn't have enough time to do in the next one.
Yeah, but that's a fairly lean movie as well. 'Cause thinking back to your biggest cast, ironically enough, would have been Attack the Herbals, and then Redwood Massacre stripped back to 8 or 9 people probably.
Yeah,
and then Ghost of Darkness. Well, you mean you had 2 main characters and the butler, I won't call him, and then a couple of folk doing ghosts. So again, you kind of strip back even further with your cast.
I think we got £35,000 to make Ghost of Darkness, but when the reason the cast is so small is because, well, look at it this way: 2,000 each for the main actors. That's 4,000. 4,000 for the location. Now we're up to 8. You know what I mean? Food, transport. So by the time you pay all that, you're making the movie for about £10,000. So it's still low, super. I'm making it for not much more than Attack the Herbals, really, but with better actors and places to shoot, basically.
And I'm guessing you've got a lot of your own kit now as well, over the collected and upgraded.
Yeah, that's one thing I make sure we always because we do corporate video when we're not making movies, and we're constantly investing in equipment. Or for, say, the last film, The Dark Within, we had to do a lot of night shoots, so I made sure there was some big lights that made it onto the budget, which we keep at the end. You know what I mean? So our shooting kit is big enough to make a whole a movie now.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Excellent. So that, I'm guessing Ghost of Darkness did really well for you to get bigger funding for your next one. Or is doing well because it's just been released, as in Redbox. It came out on video demand earlier this year in the US.
Yeah, well, it still hasn't come out in the UK or the Germany. What happened apparently, because he kind of sat on it for about 6 or 7 months after I finished it, which I was like, you know what I mean? Bust your ass finishing the movie, and then it didn't come out for another 7 months. But the indie horror market kind of crashed, apparently. It got to the point where there were so many indie horrors getting made that the price of buying them was down to like $5,000. So he's he kind of sat on it because some people, like the UK people that were trying to buy it, didn't want to pay anything. They were like, well, we'll just give you a split of the profits. And then maybe like 5 years ago, Ghost of Darkness would have sold for $20,000 to $30,000. So they say that's the end of indie horror as it is at the moment. You know, you go like into Walmart, Asda, there's like 1 million films, like horror movies. And they're just saying when they go to the markets, they've got nothing to bargain with because the guy's like, well, I don't care because I've got like 1,000 other indie horrors lined up next for me to say yes or no to. So it's the end of an era for indie movies. I think now they've only got Amazon Prime. They'll take literally anything. But yeah, Walmart have stopped taking indie horrors. And that was one of the big ones. And a lot of the VODs have stopped doing it now. So
yeah,
sniff, sniff.
Well, I mean, Ghost of Darkness is out there now in Red. I'll say I've seen a cut of it. I don't think I think I saw it without the effects at the end. You added effects.
Ghost of Darkness.
I hadn't quite finished. Yeah, I hadn't quite finished post production, but it was good. I mean, there's a noticeable progression in each film.
Yeah, that's just money.
Yeah, no, in terms of even the tightness of the story. You know, you come from Attack the Herbals, it moves up to Redwood Massacre, and the story tightens, and there's less frivolous scenes in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
again,
definitely.
Ghost of Darkness, and yeah, there is a noticeable quality improvement because of money, and the acting's better.
Yeah,
but again, you know, the story's tighter.
You definitely, because I was an editor for like 8 years before these. So you definitely learn because you can see what you're cutting out per movie, and it always turns out the same stuff. So you just don't shoot it the next time.
Yeah.
So it saves a lot of time.
We could do with learning that for the podcast.
Yeah, it's sort of the same. You see the same kind of stuff I end up cutting out every week with this as well.
It's usually my jokes, isn't it?
Sometimes, but there's an awful lot of pauses with and and stuff like that you end up cutting out because it's just taking time for no purpose and things like that.
Yeah, the dead space.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so you moved on. You've got the evil within. So by the sounds of it, you're going to have to move on from if the market's a bit saturated.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, what's next?
Well, there's quite a lot of opportunities come up because of working with these guys. Because I mean, they really are banging out a lot of movies, and their main investor, he's just sank about $9 million into films over the last couple of years, and he's going to continue to do it. So he's talking about making a movie in Scotland. It sounds like Universal Soldier. I haven't really heard much about it. But they're asking me to DP an action movie that's getting filmed in the States in August. So I have to read the script. And that's it's called Army of One. It's kind of like Rambo, but with women. And
so for those, can I just interlude? For those who have been on the internet too much, DP means director of photography.
Yes.
Are we right here?
Yes.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Sorry.
The internet generation, DP means something completely different.
Does it?
Don't be Googling it.
Don't Google it. Don't Google that.
Yeah. So it'd be a different change of pace for me, just having to shoot and light the film. And what else? We have another couple of scripts that we've done that we've got 2 people interested in shooting. So I'm probably going to see what happens, but I've always got that one. It's another to shoot next year. I always said I'll get to make 5 movies, and if it's not doing well financially, then I'm going to have to rethink, is there any point doing it? Because it's a lot of work, and it takes up like 6-7 months of your whole life to do. So
yeah. But if you're getting opportunities for going and getting experiences on other films in other roles, I mean that's got to be seen as a level of success right there in itself.
Yeah, it was only briefly discussed, but it's another Nazi film, this Universal Soldier. I can't remember what Stephen, the producer, briefly said. He's trying to raise $2 million to do it in Scotland, and I'm like, oh god. But that's about Nazis again. I was just like, oh no. a movie about when the Nazis died, they had this serum. If they could get to the dead person within a certain amount of time, they could make them alive again. So,
yeah,
Nazis and zombies.
Just need some tea in there.
Yeah, so is that serum brewed by any chance?
Yeah. Oh my god! But they've got like a slate of heaps of movies they're doing, and some of them are crazy. Like one of them, the guy was telling us about, is called Frogs versus Zombies versus UFOs, starring David Hasselhoff, that guy Danny Trejo, real out there movies. So,
well, that's what you get a chance to work with the Hawk. I mean, that'd be it. You wouldn't need to do anything else after that, would you?
Oh yeah, I mean they're doing some bigger ones. Justice with the guy from Avatar, the baddie from Avatar, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so he's all about plowing money into making movies, and the other producers are definitely wanting to make movies if they're getting the money. So it's that that's where everything is at the moment.
Cool. Will we ever see Herbals 2?
There was an actual script, a complete script written by Ali. You might remember him, Martin Howden.
Yeah, I remember some of the ideas for it. So when after Herbals was finished, I remember we pinged a few emails back and forth and Liam and everything, and I remember some of the ideas, like Liam's character, whose name for some reason is now escaped me, Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he was still alive, and where the javelin had gone through him, he now had a tap.
Yeah.
So he could keep his followers by just opening the tap, and it was his blood or something came out, and they'd drink it, and they'd stay crazy.
That's
and
right.
This was like a walled-off town.
Where he was now...
off. Yeah.
And he was now dressed as a pimp. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and the army had to come in for some reason. Yeah. I mean, it sounds so much better than the first already.
It was amazing because they had a fight at the end. He had like this hose with the tea going into the water supply of the city, and there was a fight at the end where the main good guy had to keep standing on the hose while fighting Liam with the swords. It stopped the water going in. I was like, that's ingenious. But
I want to see this movie.
If there's any producers out there willing to put a couple of million, we'll take it.
Like one of the scenes I remember reading, I said to Martin, "How am I going to film this?" There was a car chase, and Liam was using a catapult, using the townspeople on the catapult to try and to hit the car.
Wow.
That makes Mad Max look like Pussy Max.
Yeah, it would have been an awesome film. But at that time, I was like, everyone's going to love it. Definitely make a sequel. And then, little did I know.
Hey, you know what? It does have some love. I mean, it does. It's one of those things. Just it's not great, but some people love it. I mean for all that everyone hates it and is giving you negative feedback, that scene with the Roadrunner and the lassie chasing him on the motorized scooter. Everybody I've spoken to loves that. They think it's ingenious. So it has its moments, but
it's funny because
it's prime for reboot. It's prime for reboot.
Yeah, I know. Maybe, yeah. I think the comedy was just too slapstick for a lot of people.
And I think perhaps some of the acting might have let it down a little bit.
Yeah. But you know what? Everyone did that for free, basically.
I know.
They all turned up for like a year of their weekends. So I'll never knock any of the acting. But it's funny because I was down in a film festival in England, in Whitby, and some guy came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you should look out for that film, Attack of the Herbals." I was like, nice. No way. I was like, I cannot believe you just asked me to watch that.
I'm never watching it again.
Just because I was one of the only Scottish people there. He's like, "Oh, yes, I've seen that Scottish film." It's like, what is the chances?
He must have completely marked out when he realised who you are.
He wasn't even surprised. He was just like, really? "Oh, really? Oh." He goes, "Oh, yes, I did watch that one." I was like, yeah. Interesting.
Nice.
Sorry?
Were you wearing your Attack of the Herbals t-shirt?
No, God, no. We were down for Ghost of Darkness. Down at this is
Ghost,
like...
So, yeah, that's I mean...
Whitby's where they dress up as vampires. You go down to Whitby for this film festival, Bram Stoker, and while you're walking about during the day in this town, people are just dressed as vampires. It's totally bizarre. So, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Yes, it was a bit interesting.
Yeah.
Like full on though, like from the movie with Keanu Reeves, you'll see some guy dressed as that vampire, just shopping.
What's he buying?
I don't know.
Can I get some garlic? And it's like you're not in character if you're buying garlic, mate. Cosplay fail.
Yeah.
Have you ever sent if you do it, I'm taking full credit. Have you ever sent Liam to any of these events cosplaying as Campbell Bennett?
No, but I do tell you one thing. We got invited to go down to, where did we shoot Attack the Heart? There's like a small village.
Johns Haven,
yeah.
I live near Johns Haven now, and I've seen a few locals about this, yeah.
Oh my God, right. So they invited us down, this nice woman. She'd never really watched the film. She's like, we want to do a screening of it for the villagers because it's like folklore here. So we went down and there was a lot of people turned up. And it turned out that some people find it funny and some people really don't.
Yeah.
And they're quite upset it's now associated with the town. So we did like a Q&A at the end, and it was, I don't know, it was a bit like, oh shit, you know what I mean? But luckily there was people that were like, oh my God, it's so stupid that how can you, because some guy was asking like some really seriously stupid questions to us. You know what I mean? Like, I just remember going, you just watched this movie and you're asking me like a serious, like directional question about acting and motivation and the effects of drugs, and I'm like, what on earth?
Yeah, the whole film was an anti-drug story. Don't do drugs. It was the government paid us to do it. It's subliminal messaging.
I honestly remember just looking at Liam across to me a few times. I was like, I can't. Some of these questions are so stupid. But yeah,
you should have told them that it was sponsored by Nescafe.
Yeah.
Trying to increase coffee sales in 2010.
But my God, I remember there's a scene with a forklift. This guy called Lee Hutchin, he's going through that town in a forklift. And I was like, have you ever driven one of these before? He's like, nope. And off he went, inches from hitting all the cars that were parked. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was one of those movies.
If he does that, you just vanish. You just get the fuck out, and everybody looks at him. What are you doing?
I mean, we had like live guns, like the proper movie guns going about shooting people, and never anyone ever came out and asked us what we're doing. So bizarre.
Well, as you walked around with guns, yeah.
Yeah, we had like a pump action shotgun, proper gun. Like they were really loud rounds. It's just like the place must happen there all the time or something.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure if someone's walking around with what fucked if I'm getting out of my house.
Well, you'd think somebody would phone the police or something, though, right?
Yeah, you'd think. Actually, maybe we would have phoned the police. Actually, now I'm thinking about that.
Yeah,
but
just in case they hear it now.
God, man,
that's ace.
Yeah, I was about to say it sounds like it's still probably.
What's that? Sorry.
It sounds like it's still probably the most fun you've had making a film.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true what they say. You always hear like in the bigger movies where, especially, I remember reading Sam Raimi's book, and he's like, the most fun they had was doing the first one because there's no one to interfere. And I guess it's kind of because in a weird way, it's not a good thing. But as you can see with Attack of Herbals, but you just do what's in your head. There's no one to question anything really. So you're like, let's go down and tie a guy to the back of a Land Rover in a wheelchair and pull him through the street. Now, if I did that, you know what I mean? It would be a lot harder to convince people that that's a good idea.
It seems there's that big gulf. When you start out first, you've got entire freedom. Then you've got that bit in the middle where you've got to work within the system, do everything they need, and then once you're proper established, then you get the freedom back. Yeah,
it's totally weird. Like, a lot of people in Hollywood, even bigger directors, don't even get the final cut of their movies. So it's like there's only like a handful of directors, like Michael Bay, funnily enough, he gets final cut. But it's amazing how many people.
It's because of his talent, isn't it? It's because he's so fucking good at it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'll have to watch the new Transformers, but his films are definitely better than Attack of the Herbals. Let's put it that way. So never.
Yeah, you haven't seen the new Transformers.
Well, tell me you
know.
wouldn't watch a Michael Bay directed remake of Attack of the Herbals.
Oh, I definitely watch that.
Can you just imagine what that would be?
It'd be amazing. There's so many explosions.
It would be his first good film. No, he's made some good films.
I
he
thought
has
The
made
Rock
some good films.
was really good.
The Rock was good. Yeah, well, that's what we did on one of the podcasts. We spoke about the fact that he doesn't just make shit, but for some reason with Transformers, he just makes shit Transformers.
But you got to say, Ali, one thing about Michael Bay, he's one of the best visual directors for moving cameras and all that kind of stuff. There's not many people like him, but you're right. There's just something that doesn't work, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
he worked in The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock was good. Armageddon was good. Bad Boys, Pain and Gain. He's done some good stuff, but yeah, that's it. You say he's not made it. You say his films are all better than Attack of the Herbals. Once you watch the new Transformers, that may change your opinion somewhat.
I just can't believe it's that bad.
I bet it looks good.
It's very pretty. Yeah, it's very pretty.
Oh, he's amazing at making good-looking films.
And I didn't realize this, but the lassie who's in it, the crazy English one that the Mark Wahlberg's got to fall in love with, she was actually the lassie from the first In-Betweeners film. I didn't realize that, but I knew her from somewhere, so I googled her.
Yeah,
and she was in the In-Betweeners film. She was the one that the nerdy guy. Yeah.
Oh, the blonde. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So not the one from the TV show.
I thought you were going to say the girl from the second one that was annoying in the Betweeners 2.
No, the one from the first one who Will kind of falls in love with.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
she's in Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Yeah, as the mum.
Well,
as Quill's mother.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the actresses was in the second one.
Was she?
Yeah, she played one of these weird robots, and with Sylvester Stallone at the start of the movie. I can't remember.
Oh, one of the sex bots.
Yeah, one of the yellow
robots.
So she had some funny stories about that. She said a lot of Stallone scenes got cut down. He shot a lot more in that opening scenes. So in turn, her character stuff got cut down as well.
Yeah, that's a shame. I like that.
Yeah. I'd like to spend some time. Yeah, I'd like to spend some time as working with Stallone. I'm not sure I'd like to spend some time working with Stallone's sex bot, but you take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah, so that's what they were, sex bots.
I think so. If I remember right, they were at a brothel or something, weren't they?
That's right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was a bar.
Yondu.
It was a bar.
Was it a bar?
Yeah.
Yes. Yondu finished getting dressed after being with two of the sex bots.
Well, she's one of the two.
Oh wow! So she got to do it with Yondu as well. So she met Michael Rooker.
She met them all. She's actually her name's Kendra, and she moved to Los Angeles. She said 4 months ago, and she's flying. She's coming up. She was Kate Beckinsale's lighting double for The Disappointment Room, the horror movie, and then she's done another. This is her second feature film. So I mean, she's I think she thinks that's just normal, but I know people that have been in LA for 15 years that still haven't done any of that. So she's doing really well.
Excellent. Well, go her.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, she was looking at this movie Dark Within after she saw what was going on. She had a bit of a meltdown as well. She's like, I would have never done this if I known what was in store.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll come out good, and she'll look at it and go, "Well, I'm glad I did it."
Well, she's definitely come out good. I've cut quite a lot of her scenes, and her acting is really good.
Good.
So
I'm quite excited to see it. I mean, I followed it on Facebook, and some of the pictures and everything are, make it looks interesting. Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. The set looked cool. Total Evil Dead throwback.
The set looked good. Well, the set looked good, and some of the effects for the whatever they are. Creatures, monsters, whatever it was, they look pretty freaky. They look pretty good. Yeah.
Get some cool stuff now if you've got the money, to get that was a full, I don't even know if it was latex or whatever, but it was pretty cool when you saw the guy fit him like a glove.
Yeah. So who was under that?
Well, it was one of the producers. he's an actor as well and a rapper. Everyone in LA is like multi-talented, but because the crew was so tight, I was like, you might have to do it. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? But then after the first day, he was like, oh my God, I wish I never agreed to do this. It was pretty hot in that suit. There's like 4 or 5 lights of burning on a movie, for hours.
Yeah. And is Liam in it?
Liam, yeah, he's got a cameo in it. He was the key drip for the movie, so he was in charge of all the dolly track. He was in charge of all the crew, basically.
Yeah, he's going to be your Ted Rami, isn't he? Or your...
Yeah, I think he's in... That's right, he's like got a cameo in every movie now.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to be doing some reshoots, I'm suspecting, as I'm cutting this. And one of the action... Going to have to put a bit more horror action in it, I think. I'm going to use Liam's character to beef up the movie. Because that was one of the things with the script. Yeah, they kept on chopping down the gore and the violence. And now as I'm cutting the movie, I'm like, there's nothing actually... You know what I mean? All of the stuff people watch horror films for is missing. There's a lot of cool psychological twists in that. But for me, I'd be like, where's the gore?
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to put some back in.
Some red stuff.
Yeah, there is no...
We like the red stuff.
There's a couple of brutal stabbings in this movie, but nothing else. I'll send you the first 15 minutes. Tell me what you think. It's just like a rough...
Yeah, it'd be good. I like getting these secret screener type things. Important.
Yeah, I think this movie is going to need a lot of test screenings, I think, before...
Yeah.
I think it is. It's going to need people, to be like, oh yeah, it needs that and that. So when I go to the reshoots, I'm just like this is what people have been asking for.
Yeah.
But we will see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dave. That's us an hour of you, so we don't want to...
Cool. I'm way back to my bed. Yeah.
Yes.
Honestly, guys, I have to see it. I still have not recovered from filming that movie. I'm still literally tired. It's insane. 14-hour days for 2 months. So,
but who knows? You may be asked, once this one comes out, you may be asked to do the next...
Do the what?
To do the next Saw movie.
Oh, Saw 15.
Yeah. We're big Saw fans, Chris and I.
We are.
For our sins, we like the inventive gore, and obviously the fantastic storylines and yada yada yada. It's nothing to do with just liking to watch people's heads pop open.
It's the innovative traps. I just like the innovative traps.
The traps are fun.
I like all the Saw movies. The new trailer looks okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I tell you one trailer I watched last night, that Player One. I was like, what on earth is going on in this? There's like the Back to the Future car, Freddy's in it.
Yeah, the Iron Giants at the start. It looks good. I think I shared that on our Facebook page. For anybody who doesn't know, we have a Facebook page where we are now also sharing interesting videos that we find online, and they're mostly movie trailers.
Yeah, so that one looks like it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, no, it does, and it's Spielberg who we assume is one of the few who gets to do what.
Well, let's just remember Indiana Jones 4 before everyone gets too excited.
I didn't mind that as much as everybody else.
Oh my God, I came out of that cinema. There's 2 films have come out of the cinemas wanting to kill people. The first one was Terminator 3, the second one was Indiana Jones 4. It's just like, oh my God. What did I just watch? But...
You felt like your eyeballs had been abused.
I just couldn't believe it.
But it had Shia LaBeouf in it. Oh, so...
That might have been the problem.
I should have got a photograph. So yesterday I went quad biking on an island, up sand dunes and stuff like that. And the guy that was leading us was the Australian double for Shia LaBeouf.
The Australian double?
Yeah, he looked dead like him. I mean...
Oh, right. I thought you meant as
he's kind of scary.
He's dumb.
No. No, he's a doppelganger.
So do you give him some abuse?
I did call him Shia at one point, and he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, "It's an island resort. I'm going to get kicked off if I wide."
You should ask him why he's not in prison.
Yeah, I mean, he had the weird hair and the kind of look of somebody who's just permanently stoned as well. So.
Oh God, that's like most of the people I know.
Yeah, well, maybe they are mostly stoned.
And he didn't have a paper bag in his head.
He didn't have a paper bag in his head.
Right.
No, I needed a paper bag after going up those sand dunes because, my God, they get you. Once you learn how to use them, you whip around and go over things and out things. I'd been on a 3-hour whale watch out in the Pacific Ocean, going up and down on choppy waves, and I felt fine, but I felt like vomiting after this quad biking up and down sand dunes and everything.
So you're not in Scotland then? Where are
I'm
you?
in Brisbane at the moment. So
But as far as you could be.
Yeah, so it's like 8 o'clock at night here or something like that. Yeah,
I got you.
20 past 8. Which is why we're doing this early. We normally record this later on. But while I'm in Brisbane, it's the best time to cross over. But yeah, I'm back up near Aberdeen now, so I'm just beside Johnshaven.
Oh.
So
well.
I'm local again.
Remember the Emperor from Star Wars used to live there.
What, Johnshaven or Brisbane?
It was Ian McDermott that lived up beside Johnshaven. And it's funny because I had a guy come round to fix some movie lights, and he was telling me his uncle was one of the founders of working title movies that lives in Stonehaven. I was like, what?
Wow.
I was like, that's strange, but true.
I'll have to find out. Maybe Ian McDermott lived in my...
Yeah.
Who knows?
He doesn't live there now, I know that.
I certainly hope not, because if he does, he's living in the attic, which I can't get into because the attic thing's too small for me to squeeze through.
Well, he's dead, isn't he? Didn't they throw him down that? Didn't Darth Vader kill him?
Well, we never saw the body, did we?
That was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
That's maybe makes sense why he lives in Johnshaven now.
That's what's at the bottom of the. Yeah, that's what is at the bottom of the vent in the Death Star is Johnshaven.
Wow. Don't say that the next time you have to speak there. That's not going to go down well, I think.
Okay. Well, excellent. Thank you, Dave, and I think we'll use that to wind up as well.
Cool. I'll ping through that cut. Let me know what you think.
Cool.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hey, cheers, man.
Enjoy.
Okay.
Good luck.
Ciao for now.